Happy Saturday, guys. Come on in. I pray that you've had an amazing week, an amazing start to your Saturday. If not, you know what I always say. Change your negative into a positive. How do we do that? Add the dash. Yes, a negative is one line. If you add another line, another dash, it turns into a positive. So turn your negative into a positive by what? Adding the dash. We're going to get right into today's Saturday that I'm excited about. It's going to be very brief and very short. But I want to continue on with our theme or message or topic of moving into our next, moving into our new, receiving the overflow, the abundance, the increase that God has promised us, that God has stored up, waiting for us. Notice what I said, it's waiting for us. It's not that what God has for us is not complete. It's very well complete, but it is waiting for us to become complete. It is waiting for us to become whole. It's waiting for us to become mature and ready to walk into it so that when we get it, we can flow in it. We can enjoy it. We can flourish in it. There's nothing like getting a blessing and then it's short-lived, right? Because of something that we did do or something that we did not do. So we want to be prepared. We want to be ready. I am working with a new phone. Guys, I got me a new phone. I done upgraded finally, even though I purchased the phones last Friday and I just set it up on Wednesday. Because you know me, I told you before with my glow up back in March video, I'm so crazy. When I get something new, it's like once I use it, it's never going to be new again. I didn't want the screen to get dirty. Yes, I have a screen protector, but I'm just weird like that. So it sat from Friday and my daughter kept saying, Mommy, when are you gonna activate? When are you gonna? I'm like, I am. So Wednesday, I decided to. So now I'm dealing with a whole bunch of other issues because my other phone was all a fingerprint operated. Now this is with the face. And so I've been using my thumbprint for so long, I don't even know my password. So that's a whole stressful, but the phone is worth it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I was going to take it back and get something smaller. It's the 12 Pro Max. So it is what it is. So I'm just trying to make sure that this is correct. So our topic for today, are you postured for what you are asking for? Are you postured for what you are asking for? Now we know what God promised us. He's given us the ability to ask. He says, ask and it shall be given, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be open. But what you are asking for, are you postured for it? You may very well be in position, but have the wrong posture. I think of a woman who's ready to give birth. There's not only a position, but there's a posture mentally. There's a posture even with her body that she has to be in order for the baby to freely come into the world, for there to be a delivery without complications or any blockages because of something or a position that her body was in, the way she was postured that did not allow the way a birthing is supposed to happen and designed to happen. So you're asking for it. Nothing wrong with what you are asking for. God has given you that ability. He said, ask me. I'm a good father. I will do it for you. But are you postured? Do you have the right attitude? Posture is all about attitude. And a lot of times when we have the wrong attitude, it leads us to do the very wrong thing in the place that we are very right positioned in. I would say that again, but I don't know what I said. But I'm very visual, guys. When I'm talking to you, just so you know, and if you ever had one-on-one, sometimes I'm staring, sometimes it's because I see images, I see pictures. And when I see those images and pictures, I talk about those images or pictures. It's like, this is the way that God gives me to download and to break things down. So I just saw a woman giving birth. So that's why I mentioned that. That's nowhere in my notes. I just saw the image. But a lot of times what we are asking for, we have the wrong attitude. And so a lot of times we could be positioned in the right place. Have you ever been in a job? Because everybody doesn't necessarily may not go to church that's viewing this. So have you ever been in a job and there's a position that you have applied for, promotion that you have applied for, right? And you kind of get antsy There's a feeling because you have a boss that's kind of giving you positive vibes, as y'all say, these vibes. Positive vibes that this position is going to be given to you, but you know that there are other people who have also applied and they qualify probably for the position. You may not have the education, you may not have the experience, but yet your boss is kind of giving you that feeling that, yeah, you have a chance. And something in you is saying, yeah, I have a chance, but something on the other side of you is saying, but these other 5 people that applied, I know that they have not only the education, they have the experience, and they have the favor with the man that's above our boss, with the woman that's above my boss. And so you begin to change your attitude from a posture of expectation to sort of like you already take on an attitude and a posture of defeat. You already see yourself losing the position. And now you begin to not only act out what it is you're becoming and you're believing, but you begin to talk in such a way. You know, you ever downplayed something you really want? Well, you know, if I don't get the position, it'll be all right because it'll probably make me, you know, have to work an extra hour, and I don't really want to work an extra hour anyway. Or, you know what, I would have to come in early, or I would have to work with so-and-so, you know, I really don't. But wait a minute, when your boss was telling you or giving you the positive vibe, there was something in you that was so encouraged and you was expecting and you was excited. Now, all of a sudden, you're finding excuses and finding loopholes that give you permission to have the negative attitude. Remember, the Bible says life and death is in the power of our tongue. So what you speak, you will have, right? So when you begin to speak negative, what it is you're doing, you're giving your mind, you're giving your emotions, you're giving your will permission to accept defeat, accept a no, accept failure, even though you haven't gotten the final answer or response. So what are you asking God for? That your attitude, because when you ask, it means that you and requires for you to have to wait a lot of times. When we ask, we don't receive immediately. Sometimes we do, but sometimes we don't. When you're asking and you don't receive what it is that you're waiting for, expecting, praying for, what has been spoken to you, what the Lord has showed you, what he has promised you, is your attitude one of faith in the midst of the wait? Or do you begin to get an attitude of defeat and you become weary and you become worried and you become fearful and you become doubtful in the middle? That was one of the first Saturdays I ever did. In the middle. What happens in the middle? If you're not holding on to the promise of God, then you're going to give up in the middle and turn back and go back where you came from and never finish out the course, never finish out the race, never finish out the process to know what was really on the other side. The thing that God promised you is on the other side. So it reminds me of Abraham and Sarah. The Lord had given them a promise. They're going to give birth. But in them, they begin to get weary. Their posture begin to change. We're old. Wait a minute. It's not happening the way that we are expecting it to happen. This doesn't make sense. We know we got the promise from God. We got the word from God and we believe him. But you cannot believe and have a but. It's believe and believe all the way through. But when you insert and inject a but, you give yourself permission to shift your attitude, to shift your mindset, to shift your posture, to shift your position. And once you allow a little hole of doubt to come in, once you allow a little hole of fear to come in, it has the potential to increase and expand and take over your mind. And once it takes over your mind, it will take over your emotions, your will, how you live, how you act, how you talk. And now you begin to walk out according to what you are being told, what you are being instructed, what you are given permission to fear. So Sarah now has given Abraham the permission to go and sleep with another woman to get the promise that God said. But we never have to go outside of God's will. We never have to go outside of God's plan. We never have to go outside of his order to get what he said. When we do step out of position, when we step out of order, when we begin to shift and shape and maneuver things to come out the way God said without God being in it, you have then changed your posture. You have then changed your posture. Philippians 2:5, it reads, adapt the same attitude as that of Christ Jesus. Adapt the same attitude, the same mind, the same posture of that of Jesus Christ. Well, what was Jesus' posture? What was his attitude? We're going to talk about three things in Philippians 2 that it said that Jesus did. The first thing, it said he was a servant. He was a servant. It says instead of he emptied himself by assuming the form of a servant. That's verse 7 in Philippians 2. So Jesus took on the form of a servant. That was his posture. A servant is the posture that you are going to have to maintain in the process of you waiting for what you asked God for. Waiting for what you asked God for. And he has already given us something to hold on to while we wait. In Psalm, it tells us to, I think 27, to wait on him and be of good courage. And he will strengthen us in the wait. Why? Because he knows that what we ask for, he knows that what he promised is not going to happen overnight. We're not going to be able to click our heels 3 times and open our eyes and boom, there it is. Now, once again, there are some things that God does suddenly and immediately, but there are most things that takes time because it's waiting for you. It's waiting for me. So he took on the form of a servant. You must have the mindset, the attitude of a servant in the process of you waiting for what you ask God for. That is the posture. The second thing, humility. He humbled himself. Jesus humbled himself, it says. Are you remaining and are you remaining in a position, in a posture of humility? Humility, whatever you want to do, God, it's not about you. It's not about me, as we talked about last week. When we make it about us, we're no longer humble. We're now operating and functioning in pride. We're exalting ourselves. And what God placed in us is not ours. What he placed in us is for his glory. What he placed in us is to draw people back to him. So as we walk out and end the promise, as we walk out and end the promotion, as we walk out and end our purpose, it's really not about us. It's all about God being glorified, about him being edified, about him being seen through us. Can he use you? Can you remain? Are you in a posture of humility? Let humility be your portion. Let it be your posture. And the third thing that Jesus did, he had an attitude of obedience. Obedience. In Philippians 2 and Philippians 2, well, I didn't write the verse down. So, but in Philippians 2, later on, after he assumed the form of a servant and he humbled himself, he became obedient. He became obedient unto death. That means obedient unto the thing that he least expected, that he least wanted, that he did not deserve. Does your obedience only lead you to a point of where you feel is enough? What you have decided, okay, I can't take no more. Okay, what I'm stepping into, or what I'm stepping into doesn't look like what you promised me, God, or what you promised me. I just want it. I don't want to have to be processed for it. I don't want to have to be matured for it. I don't want to have to be cut. I don't want to have to go through all of this. He was obedient even until death. Where does your obedience lead you to? Does it lead you to the middle where you can't take anymore, where you decide to give up? Or does it lead you to the end to receive what it is that God has promised you, what it is that you are asking for? Because there's some things that God didn't necessarily promise as though a prophetic word or something that he spoke to us, but it's just something that we desire. And he said he will give us the desires of our heart. So there's nothing wrong with the desire, but while you present your desires to him, in the process, are you maintaining a posture of being a servant? Are you maintaining a posture of humility? Are you maintaining the posture of being obedient to do what it is that he said, to go where he says, even if you don't like it, even when it's not fair. Remember, he was obedient unto death. Death was not something or a result of something that he did in a negative, but it was a result of something he had to go through for the positive. There are things that you have to go through that are negative, but it really all things work together for your good, as the word tells us. Philippians 2:9, it reads, "For this reason, God highly exalted him and gave him the name that is above every name." For this reason, for what reason? Jesus became a servant. He humbled himself and he was obedient. And because he did these three things, his name was exalted. His name was exalted above all names. He didn't just have a name. He didn't just have a name that holds weight. You know, we know some people whose names hold weight. You speak their names and things happen. But the name above all names, the name above every name. See, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, I think, with the garments that God gives us. And even when we think about it not being all about us. When we lift him up and when we walk in our purpose, when we walk in our gifts, when we walk in our talents, when we are obedient to do what he said, and the crowds and the attention comes to us, it's really about him. And when you stop at your name, you make it about you, right? But when you allow your name to be a result of you lifting up his name is the name above all names. And then your name kind of falls a little short of his name because his name is above yours, right? But when we do that, what we're saying is, God, this is all about you. And when we do that, he has no problem making your name great because he knows that he can trust you. Can God trust you? Can you be trusted with what you are asking for? Yes, you're in position. You are in the right place. You're right with God, where God called you. But it's taken a little longer than what you expected. It's taken a little longer than what you thought. Where are you postured? How are you postured? What is your attitude in the process of waiting? Are you becoming impatient? Are you becoming worried that it will never happen? I know women who try to conceive and they can't. And they go through all the different processes that are out there. And then they become weary because we're taking this infusion, we're giving this injection, and it's not working. So they give up in the process. But I know women who have held on, who have taken a break, and now they have their child, or now they are with child, because they did not give up. They were persistent. They were consistent. This Saturday is all about challenging you to remain in the right posture, with the right attitude, as you are waiting for what God spoke, as you are waiting for what you are asking for. The three things that Jesus did that should be an example unto us is he remained a servant, he remained humble, and he remained humble, and he remained obedient. I pray today that these three things that you will take on and get rooted and grounded and get postured in your mind, so that you can begin to walk this thing out. No matter how long it takes, no matter what it looks like, I'm going to remain a servant, I'm going to remain humble, and I'm going to remain obedient until the end, so that I can see what God promised me, so that you can see what God promised. He hasn't forgot. He hasn't forgot. He has not given up on you. Have you given up on him? I pray that this challenges you today to remain in position and postured for what you are asking for. Until next Saturday, continue to live, love, laugh, and breathe. Jesus loves you, and I do too.